listening to Nasty Knuckles, the Hockey Outlaws podcast, with your hosts, Derek Nasty Sutter and former Philadelphia Flyer enforcer, Riley Cote, as they go behind the scenes with your favorite NHL players. Time to face off.
All right, welcome back. What's happening, Nasty?
What's up, Brigarelia? I'm just gonna tell you, I'm fighting back tears a little bit here. I haven't seen you almost 2 weeks. It is just isn't normal for you and I, man. I don't really like it. I don't like it. You're way too busy. You're doing drum circles. You're on dates. Valentine's Day passed and you're still doing it. I don't, hearts and candies and flowers every day. Like, how about sending some to your boy? We're like, we love each other. So, obviously. It happens on your end. It's not happening on my end.
Yeah. Well, I got to work my way to Jersey.
I know.
And
you got a lot going on.
Make the games. It's like got a lot going on. But hey, thank God for the technology. I'll be back in the stew hopefully next week.
Yeah.
And
you better
have an in-person guest. That'd be nice.
Yes, that would be nice. Great guest today. We'll get into that a little bit. Let's start off, buddy. The bad guys won the Four Nations. You guys found a way to win. And actually, in all seriousness, I mean, it's upsetting for Americans and you're pulling so hard, trying to get that win. And man, but what a game, God. And who scores the goal? Best player in the world. Just like in 2010. Yeah, that we talked about when Sid scored on us when I was actually lucky enough to be there. But man, just what a game. And just the pride for both sides. And it was so much fun to watch, even though they lost. Or we lost, you guys won. And our pal Mike Richards on Captain's Corner last week, he basically predicted 3-2 win. Well, he definitely predicted a 3-2 win and said he's thinking overtime.
Yeah, I got Canada 3-2.
Yeah.
I don't know overtime. I don't know, but overtime would be incredible.
And I thought maybe overtime too, but the other way. And Austin Matthews had it on his stick a couple times, and did Brady Tkachuk actually. And I told you guys last week, Binnington scared me in that building. He won probably the biggest game of his life, but winning the Stanley Cup Game 7 in Boston there. But he played a whale of a game. I'm almost starting to think if I had one game to win, is this the guy? Because he's proved it, a couple times now. He's one of those goalies that we talked about. I think we don't need to get into it, but he's kind of an up and down guy. He's a streaky guy, right? But anyway, you guys, Canada won, obviously deserved to win, but it was a little heartbreaking because, man, it was just so close, right?
It was. Yeah, I think it was everything everyone was expecting and more, right? I mean, it was exactly that. It was high intensity, the pace, the speed, the execution, going to overtime, making anybody's game. I mean, to me, it was the best case scenario for the NHL, the product itself, and depending on whatever side of the fence you're on, someone's excited and the other camp's not. But I mean, as far as like hockey goes, and generating some new fans and putting hockey on the map, I'm seeing Tkachuk do. The Jimmy Kimmel and not Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. And, it's just getting the buzz, it's getting the attention it needs. But as far as fans' perspective, couldn't ask for a better game.
Yeah, you couldn't, man. We talked a little bit about last week, right before that. The Flyers had won their last game going into the break against the Penguins, actually. And now they've rolled off 3 in a row. I hate even saying it because every time they're going a roll and we bring it up, but we have to bring it up. It's our job. But they've won 3 in a row, excuse me. Oilers come in, obviously really good team. You're hoping McDavid's a little tired. The Jets were still going, but Flyers put a nice little beating on them, 6-3. this Draisaitl, what a player. I know we've talked about it. We don't have to get into it.
Oh my God, I
This
know.
guy's just so good, man. I think he's up to 40.
So good.
I think he scored again live. I think he's like 44, 45 goals. I could be off 43, somewhere in that range. But my God, if he gets that puck on his stick and he's got a half a second, it's in the net, man. Like, it's crazy watching. I love watching that guy play. Obviously, you love watching McDavid, but Draisaitl's so special too, man. It's a
He
lot of
really
fun to watch.
is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say on him is just the way he carries himself. You know, he's like composed, but he's big, and he's got the hands out there, the backhand passes he makes, like the sauces. He's just throwing pucks in the area. Obviously, the goal, the backhand goal, but just makes it look so easy, like so composed and just like always in position. And
he's not a little guy either.
He's not a little guy. No, he looks big out there.
He's a big man. But you're right. Yeah, he's a hell of a player. We all know that. But anyway, in that game, the Magic Man, Matvey, our boy, goal and 2 assists, played really well. Tip had 2 goals. Coots 3 points, playing with Matvey. And we kind of talked about that earlier in the year. I know Coots doesn't have, maybe he's not the fastest guy on the ice, but when he needs to be, he can be. But anyway, playing with him, I think you want to talk about kind of teaching Matvey in a way where you're not benching him and putting him in the stands. He's playing with a guy like Coots. And I think that really helps. Like, you know that. Like, I think that really helps him playing with him. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to play with him the rest of the year, but the last few games, it's worked. Anyway, Coots had 3 points. Urs got another win. He only had 18 shots, and his save percentage in that game, it's low. It's like, .8833, but because he let 3 goals in. But we've probably talked about this before, Riggs, where when a goalie's not seeing a lot, my son's, LV's a goalie, and that's one of the hardest things when you don't see the puck coming at you, and then all of a sudden there's a 2-on-1 or a breakaway. But that's the goalie's job. Still wins the game. So yesterday, Penguins are in town again, and I went down early. We go down early, Nasty Knuckles, to see some of the guys, and it was great in the morning. Watched the morning skate, and Sid's out there early, 37 years old, just playing this, like the guy, there's a reason he is who he is. And I'm telling you, Riggs, if you didn't know his age and you're watching that morning skate, and even when he plays, but you wouldn't think he was 37 years old. I mean, he's out there early. He's crispy. I mean, it's any young kid that's in that room. And I know they're not going to make the playoffs again, which is just so odd. And I actually talked about it with a couple of guys with them yesterday, especially their equipment guys. I'm like, it's so weird you guys not in the hunt, not, probably not going to make the playoffs this year, not to be negative, but they're probably not. But it was really cool. Got to see Sid, talk to him for a few minutes. It's nice catching up with him. Got a couple fun sound bites with him and our boy Hollywood Hayes. Got to see him. He said hello. Mike Rupp's there. He does some games with the Penguins. What a great guy. I love Rupper, man.
He really is.
He's just such a good dude. And he said hello. Got to talk to the equipment guys and Mike Sullivan, gave him a big hug. And I was like, we were this close, man. He said, Nasty, he goes, you've been to a lot of these things. You did the Olympics. You did the World. He goes, that might have been the most fun week and a half I've ever had. He goes, it was so enjoyable.
Really?
We just came up short. I'm like, we got him next year, brother. And I saw Coach Quinn there as well. Gave him a big hug. Said the same to him because he was on the staff. It was funny. Sully actually said it was nice having that little torch around, that little fucker, like kidding around. He was, he's so fucking wound up. And I started laughing. I said, I said, it was actually at the World Cup. He was the head coach and Sully was one of his assistants. But anyway, It was really cool catching up with them. Flyers just put a beat down on them. We got to talk about the kid line here. Brink, Cates, and Foerster. We talked about them all year. I mean, they're very consistent. They play both sides of the puck. But the thing is, they put up points. And last night, Brinker 4 points, goal, 3 assists. I mean, God, going to the dirty areas too. He's not a big kid. We know that. He's thick. He's strong. But just getting to those dirty areas. Noah Cates, 2 goals and an assist, and then Tyson Foerster with a goal and 2 assists. Or sorry, Cates had 2 goals and an assist. I don't know if I said that correctly, but Foerster with a goal and 2 assists. I mean, it's just fun to watch, and it's like almost makes you feel young again. You see how excited they get, playing together when they score. Like last night, everything was just working. So it was a
Yeah.
great game for the Flyers last night, and Sam with another win, 6-1
Yeah.
win. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, we talked about this line a lot this season. In fact, like when I do the work over at TPH Method and Iceline there, I do some video stuff, and I generally pull the Flyers last game or two, and the clips that these guys that have during the game are so perfect for teaching, because they do so many really good things really well, like just like that are generally unnoticed for the average fan, but just it's nice to see it coming together and how they play together, the chemistry and just the work and the consistency, as you mentioned. I think that's the biggest thing, is how consistent they are. You almost could assume every time that they're on the ice, they're going to generate something, just energy and the way they work and skate, and the Foerster with the long stick and the sticks on the puck, and little Bobby B there just buzzing around, and get them get the speed, and they just complement each other so well. So it's nice to see them have success. And I did want to mention, we talk about Michkov. I don't know if it was just me, but when he's playing with Tippett, and even you can say the same thing about Coots, I feel like the speed is enhanced. I think Mitchie plays a little faster. I think Coots plays a little faster too, because they're forced to. You have to. You said it, like. So I don't know if that was just me or if it was just like an anomaly there, but it just seems like they're pushing the pace a little bit more. Coots just always doing a good job with the stick positioning, turning up pucks, and I don't know. It just seemed like a little more urgency on the checking side. But going back to that other line, the young line there, I think they just do a heck of a job. And for anybody, young kids watching, even parents that have kids, like if you're listening, like these are the guys to watch if you're not already watching. Like just to do so many good things. They're glue, and they bring it, and they're consistent, and they have fun. I mean, they have fun here, clearly.
Yeah, they do. And to your point, that's a great point by you. And I remember when we had Shane Gostisbehere on, and we were talking about the World Cup of Hockey, and he was kidding around with Coots going, holy shit, man, you're going to be okay. But Coots in that tournament, like you just said, sometimes that brings out more of, like more in a player where you have to keep up. Whereas me in men's league, I just can't. I follow.
Yeah,
Foxy. I play with.
Can't do it.
I play with one of the fastest guys in the league. With John Fox, and Foxy's just always ahead of everyone except for you when you show up. But Foxy's just so powerful, and he goes, and there's no way I'm keeping up with that guy. But if he gives it to me, I'm giving it back. But to your point, in all seriousness, you're totally right. Like it almost forces you to pick up the pace, and it's been working the last few games, so it's nice to see.
Yeah, and it's not like these guys are slow, but when you play with a guy like Tip specifically, just high pace, high speed, like it just throws you into a different dimension of speed and execution, right? So it just naturally happens. They don't have to even really think about it. It's not like Coots and Mitchie are like, oh, well, it's like, let's move our feet a little more. You just do it,
right?
Because otherwise you're going to get exposed, and you're probably not going to play, or you're going to be removed from the line. So exactly. It's nice to see how that happens naturally, but how they're having success too. So it's hopefully they can keep it going.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to bring up one quick point. I know you weren't able to get down yesterday with Baller and I, but so all the guards, I've known those guards down there forever. So we come through, we're busted chops, and but it was so funny. One of the guards, he's down there. He's around the Flyers room. His name's Kris Bonadono, but they call him DJ Cutlets, right? So a game ago against Edmonton. Now he's a thicker guy. He's an Italian guy, round but strong guy. And DJ Cutlets, they had him do a sprint down the hallway, and they beat Edmonton. So we're there yesterday. Baller, please throw this up, because we told him, can we video it? We want to put this on. And they moved him back 10 feet. So he fucking sprints down again. All I could see is him just going, like stubbing a toe and going down, and we could be in trouble.
Oh.
But he was buzzing, and all the other guards are down at the end of the hall, and it was great. But he's going to have to do it again next home game because I think they're 2-0 now with DJ Cutlets making his sprint. It was pretty comical, but great guys. I love all those guys down there. And we told him, we said, we're going to put this on. He said, yeah, put it on there. So Baller, please throw that up. That was great. One last thing before we get to our guest, just a quick thing, because there hasn't been a whole lot going on, Riggs, since the Four Nations, just a few games. But the Ovi watch, boys, we're down to 12.
Oh, yeah.
He's 12 away, bro. Like, this is unreal.
At the mouth. Oh, yeah.
Man, he had a wrist shot the other night when he scored 2. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 92-mile-an-hour wrist shot. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, or not? It was either 90 or 92. Either way, I don't give a shit. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. There was a clip from him. Was it last night or the night before? He whiffed on like a backdoor one-timer. And he was like on the bench, like talking to his stick. He's like, "You're effing kidding me?" It's like basically having a heart-to-heart with his twig.
Yeah, right. And that stick's pretty.
He loves to score so much. Oh yeah, it's hot. Yeah, but yeah, he is something else, man. He's amazing. Loves to score, and he's not slowing down anytime soon.
You're right. And you know, I heard someone saying just what you just said. Obviously, he loves. I love that he sell it. Like it doesn't bother me when guys sell it. Like, and this guy loves to score. And you know what I really like about Ovi is he loves when his teammates score. He's just as excited.
He's just excited. I know.
I love that. I love that about him. And I don't, you know, maybe that gets overlooked once in a while, but you got to watch these games now because you just never know. Christ, I mean, he had a hat trick the other night, you know, like I empty net. Someone said to me, "Oh, empty net." I'm like, dude, do you have any goals this guy scored with the goalie in the net? I don't give a shit if he gets 5 more empty nets. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I'm sure Wayne had a few empties. I'm sure Wayne had a few empties.
For sure.
Like, who gives a shit?
That's those are the little carrots that you get because you're a good player and you're on the ice in those situations. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, think about how many times they hit the post or missed it, you know, this and that, and they just get a bone thrown now and then. I mean, it's
exactly.
You're a good player. You're going to have a few of those in the stats, and it doesn't matter. Still a goal. Still creeping on the record.
He's close.
He's getting it.
He's got to get it now. I don't want to jinx a guy, but it's got to be this year.
You're not going to jinx it.
I don't see how. It's not the way he's playing, the way that team's playing. Now, I know they lost last night, close game, but Calgary, a big win for them because they're chasing, right, to try to get in that last spot. But anyway, so much fun to watch, and I'm watching all those games. I got a few games going at a time, like I know you do, especially those late night games. You love watching those. So,
oh yeah, I got the 3 or 4 screens going, checking my stats. I was gonna say now, so I don't think you and I can jinx Ovi's goal scoring.
Yeah, good point.
Pursuit. Great point. I'm not sure that you and I, no matter how much we say it or exit or curse it and whatever else, he's not slowing down. Not because of you and I.
No,
maybe the physical body, maybe the twigs or weak twigs or this or that, but this guy's on a mission. He's getting it this year.
Yeah, Russian vitamins, baby. Russian vitamins.
Oh yeah.
That's what Jitnik told us when he was here for 30 games, however long he was with us. He said they used to line us up and give us our vitamins. I'm like, they just give you vitamins? Oh, no, they stuck it in our ass, he said.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. When you were 13,
who swallows supplements and pills? It's like, that's like 20 years ago, Nas. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Injected right in the tushy.
My bad. Well, that was 20 years ago. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know, right? You're right.
He was a vet. And you know, like getting it done when he was 13. So Ivan Drago way back, you know, the vitamins. But anyway, looking forward to the rest of the year, man. I really think I agree with you. Ovi's got to break this thing, and lots of stuff getting ready to come up here with the trade deadline. We'll be all over it. And we also, real quick, we're going to have way more information about the Nasty Knuckles hockey for the spring/summer. We almost have everything finalized just because I'm getting a lot of messages. Wanted to throw that out there. We're super excited about it. So anyway, I guess it's about that. Yeah, it's coming together. I guess it's about that time. I want to thank Samantha Kilgallen as well for all the help she's given us. Part of our team, and Nick Sauer as well. So anyway, is it about that time, Riggs?
Yep. It's that time. 192 with our friend Colby Armstrong.
All right, let's Army
go.
on.
Welcome back. I'm Riley Cote.
And I'm Derek Settlemeyer. This week, Riggs, super pumped this guy. I just used to laugh when he came on the ice just because I was waiting for him to say something. But this young man was drafted by those pesky Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round, number 21 overall, 21st overall, in the 2001 entry draft. He's from Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. Veteran of 476 games in the National Hockey League. He played for the Penguins most of the time. Ended up in Atlanta, Toronto, finally Montreal, and then, from what I'm hearing, an absolute legend in Sweden. Only a season there, but a legend from what I'm hearing. Please welcome to the show, Colby Armstrong. Army, man, how are you? So happy to have you on, man.
Yeah, great to be here with you guys. See some of the stuff you guys are doing, as busy as I am, but love seeing guys doing this, and what a great franchise and sports city to be in and around and covering hockey, but covering Philly stuff and the Flyers and Swedish legend. I think I was the only guy that was boozing on the team at the time. I'd get those big Carlsberg Zdeno Chara cans because that's like what I could find there. I don't know. And we'd go over for dinner at a buddy's apartment because they slammed us in these little apartments. But and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'd like a little 6-pack, I'm like, "What?" I thought we were going to hang out. Like,
isn't that what we do here?
No, they were like they're doing Olympic lifts together and stuff. I was like, "Oh shit, we're sorry, wrong party." But thank you for the great introduction. And I hated playing against Riley, played against him in junior and pro hockey, of course, and like hundreds of times a year, it felt like, with some of his teams and the Penguins linked so close together from Wilkes-Barre all the way up to the NHL as well. So great to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you,
yeah,
man. We know how busy you are. You're obviously heavily involved in hockey with everything you're doing, and it's great because of your personality. I think it's real important for hockey, and I think a lot of these podcasts that have started coming out and just having guys like you on TV and stuff, you kind of see the personality of guys. And what we try to do is bring out show the person as well as the hockey player, but kind of show that. And you've been working Sportsnet national coverage for the National Hockey League, analyst for the Penguins. Ran into your buddy Rupper yesterday, who's doing that as well. Yeah. And jumping on TNT, I love when you're on TNT because fucking you and Biz going back and forth. Obviously, you guys have a history, and he's just speaking of personalities. This guy's made himself into he was kind of a legend in hockey. Everybody knew who he was because he was Biz. But man, it's so nice, and you got the pod with Merles. I think you guys are doing it once a month, maybe a little more. And then On the Couch with Colby, which I didn't know about until about a month ago. Dude, that is awesome. I laughed my ass off. I watched Goody's, one of our good buddies.
He's awesome,
dude. What a guy, man. But that whole thing, you're doing it all, and I don't know if I missed anything because you're so goddamn busy. But talk to us a little bit about everything you have going on.
Yeah. It's been something that's excuse me, built up kind of over the last, I guess, 10 years since I've been done, and started a little bit at Sportsnet, and then eventually moved to Pittsburgh, started doing pregame radio shows and postgame radio. And it was kind of cool because it was back-to-back cups. And so the national team takes over all the broadcasts after the first round. All the big networks get it. And so I was doing every game still. So being out of it and getting reps, right? You got to get reps. Right. You got to do reps. It. So it was awesome for me because I was doing every game all the way back-to-back years in the final. And I never saw the Stanley Cup handed out with my own eyes before until I was at these moments to see that. So it was pretty incredible to see what the guys go through on the backside, and traveling and how hard it is and the sacrifice and how banged up guys really are playing. I was blown away. So I got a cool all around hockey media guy, vision of this. And I was like, whoa, man. I never went on a cup run. I didn't get to go deep in the play. I was one of my regrets as in my career. And of course you have to be in the right spot and your team has to be good and organization has to be at the right spot. So I never had that. So to be able to do that on the broadcasting side was really cool to see that. But yeah, Sportsnet gave me a chance right when I retired and get in some TV radio. And then I now moved over to do some digital feature things and commercial stuff and advertising. So I get to do the couch stuff, which the players make that because they come in and they're really good with me. I gotta say they're awesome when they come in with me. So that's what makes those little features or segments really cool. As we know, the guys are the best, right? The players are the best. They're awesome. Like seeing what the Tkachuk boys are doing right now is awesome. Coming off of Four Nations, Matthews on national TV doing, what was he on there? Fallon,
I think.
It was awesome to see him doing that. And they're getting criticized. Like, what are you getting criticized for? This is amazing. Like, let's go, boys. Like they're selling it. They're on it. They're on the Amazon shows. They're mic'd up. This is what our game's been hungry for. I think what our fans have been hungry for. So good on them for that. And I always loved doing this kind of stuff when I was playing, like just joking around with the boys. I love hanging out with the boys and doing that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like a nice transition for me and to be around the game a lot. I don't know. I'd probably be Riles. I'll be probably pumping gas back in Toontown, back in Sasky. I don't know. I mean, I got nothing. I don't have much else to offer, really. Like, I got no way of schooling. The Western Hockey League. How you doing? So it's been great for me in a lot of different ways with like friends, hockey guys, the game, being around it, seeing it, and then dipping my feet into a bunch of different pockets or pools of it, and being able to go to a lot of cool events and see a lot of things and still be in connection with the game and these players. And hopefully, I think we do a good job, and you guys are a credit to that as well, of making our game cool. And it's the best game and it's cool. I think we were robots, Riles. We're robots. We're like, what happens in the room stays in the room. Like, hey, this is like, we repeat what the coach says to the media and all this stuff. But I think that's starting to change a little bit as we've seen, and we're starting to see some more personalities, and guys are doing a good job with our game. So it's been really fun over the last 10 years to get going in a bunch of different things. I'm so like doing what you guys are doing now and having a guest on. Like I did some sideline reporting once or time or two through what I've done. And even those couch things that you're talking about, having to sit down with players and ask them questions. I'm like, I get freaked out about that. Like that's my world anxiety right there. But I've gotten to do it enough times now where I'm getting a little bit more comfortable. But I've gotten to do a lot of different things doing this. So it's been great for experience and getting involved in this industry, I guess you call it.
Yeah. You do a hell of a job, and it's almost like you're meant to be, in the media. I mean, you're hilarious, and above and beyond when think of traditional media, because you're just so easy to talk to. You're witty, and I think the hockey world needs more of that, as you're pointing out, because it's necessary.
Well, it's
right?
the Western League, buddy. Like you go anywhere. I'm a big pusher of the Western guys and like the personalities we have. Like every team we were on, it was awesome. Then I got to pro hockey, and it's like all the Western guys are the best guys. They're the freaking best guys. I hate to say it, or I love to say it. And it's like, they're like the glue guys. They're the personality guys. And then once I got in TV, Jeff Merrick, who I worked with a lot, who really helped me initially in getting in the media and being on the desk. And, he'd just be like, chill, man, chill, be yourself. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is awkward as hell. Like, what am I doing here? But he was great. He always said, like, in hockey, he talked to a few scouts, and they always said I forget what it was. He did the guy's story, but he's like, looked for three things, like the three S's or something. It was like Saskatchewan and Sweden and something else. Cause he knows you just get like good people that know how to play hockey correctly. And it's like easy to meld into your team. It can fit into any room, anywhere. And so that's where I probably got my, like, it's like, Saskatchewan charm, man. We all got it. You can go anywhere. And it's kind of a thing that I think has carried me with, playing hockey and now doing media.
Yeah, right. For sure. It's night. Go ahead. Sorry, Ross.
It was kind of off topic when you say Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, as Nasty introduced you. I wasn't sure if it was on the Alberta or Saskatchewan side, because Sasky actually played with Scott Hartnell there. And I believe he was on the Alberta side, and
yeah, he was.
But
I was born. I think there was 2 hospitals there, and I was born. I believe this is what my mom tells me, in the Saskatchewan hospital that was shut down like the year I was born, because I seen Hartsy's at 82 too, and he's Alberta, so he must have been like one of the new babies in the new hospital on the Alberta side. So I was born there, lived in a small town outside of Lloydminster, And my mom taught skating. My dad was a welder, and it's called Paradise Hill, Saskatchewan, a little tiny town. And then eventually we moved to Saskatoon, where I went to school and grew up and everything, and played youth hockey and have all my buddies from back there. So my parents still in the same house. Good to go back there every once in a while and check in. Yeah, it's the best.
That's cool.
It's the
Super
best.
cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we had your brother on, and obviously great guy. Obviously, he's just he's grounded, great personality like yourself. And he was talking about your mom being a figure skating coach, and kind of how you guys really got the start and the foundation built.
Yeah. We were on skates at 2 years old. It was crazy. I see all these pictures. It looks like I shouldn't even be walking, but we're on skates. So it's kind of part of our life. Grew up at the rink. My mom would teach summer skating school, for figure skating all summer long, 2 months. Kids would travel in from all over the province and elsewhere to, come to these figure skating camps all summer long. And I would just have to go to the rink with my mom, like we all did, me and Riles and my sister. And eventually we started figure skating because we were there. So it was hockey and bouncing back and forth between figure skates and hockey skates. And Riles was pretty good. Riles can still kick some moves off on his hockey skates. If you're ever at a skate or something, and he's out there, you got to call.
We've seen him.
We've seen him. We played against him. Checking for charity. We played against him, and it's funny. He was just helping out with the Quebec team from here, and one of Elvis's teammates' older brother was on that team, and I was talking to him last night actually, and I was saying, how was it? He goes, well, we didn't win. Every game was pretty close. And I said, how did you like Coach Armstrong? And he goes, oh my God, he was, and I'm not just saying this, he really did. Cause I had heard from a couple dads about the other coaches, not saying anything bad, but that Caden loved your brother. He was like, oh, he was my favorite by far.
Oh yeah.
He was
Riles is a
him.
grind. He's I'm so proud of him. Cause he stopped playing and then got into coaching on the ice and some programs. I think he was in Maine he was in New Hampshire or something initially. And then from there, this opportunity with in Portland, Maine, he put together the Maine Mariners with Danny Briere at the time, who I think was an advisor or assistant GM, maybe.
Yeah, he was running. Yeah, Danny was running the team. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so he through those two set up this Maine Mariners franchise. He coached there for a few years and moved on, started in Wheeling, went there, and then eventually to Lehigh, and then kicked over to the player development side. And man, he's a hustler. He's on the phone. He's grinding guys. He's on with players, doing video clips. He's traveling. He's just he's a workhorse. He can do a lot of different things. So, and then if you look at his hockey DB, it's hilarious because he's got a great hockey DB. He was in Finland and Germany and Sweden and Astana in the KHL. And he's been, oh my God, the guy's been all over the place. A couple games in the NHL, pretty good too. And a pretty good life in hockey so far, but he's earned everything he's gotten and works his butt off. And I think really good with the development side. He's kind of a black and white guy, no nonsense kind of stuff. You either do this good or you don't, or you're playing well or you're not. You got better. And so he's good at delivering the message, I think too, which is, cuts out a lot of the gray area of what did he just say? What does he mean? So I'm proud of him. He's doing a good job. And then he loved the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. He's like, this tournament's unbelievable. I went to it a few years ago. I'd never been to it before with my kid. And yeah, it's a heck of an experience. And he sent me a picture. He was in Rimouski after as well, and scouting or talking to some kids there and stuff that they have on the flyer. So he's nonstop. He's on the go. That's life in hockey, I guess. It's 24/7, 365 now. There's no summers off. And so he's dialed all the time.
Yeah, he works his bag off, and it's every time I run into him, it's great. We shoot the shit, and I was funny the other day. Elvis is not in middle school, but it's weird how they do it here. If you're in 5th grade, you can play middle school hockey, and we did it because a lot of his teammates are playing. They're obviously a year too young, but we they kind of put a wagon together because it's all AAA players. And we have a couple of kids that are in middle school, but we're playing for St. Joe's, and we're nowhere near St. Joe's, but you can pick where you play if your area doesn't have a team. And
you're the Wild West, man. It's the USA Hockey. It doesn't matter.
So anyway, I was at the skate zone. That's where they play all the games. And so I text little guy, Danny, I called Danny little guy. I text Danny and I said, hey bud, are you working? ? And he right away he goes, what's that supposed to mean? I'm like, no, I don't mean like, are you working, trying to get shit done for the Flyers? Are you at the building? He goes, oh, LOL, fuck. I thought you were like giving me shit. I'm like, are you here? I want to come up and see you. And he's like, no, man, I haven't been to the rink in about 2 weeks. So anyway, but he loves your brother, man. He really does. He's always talking about him. So
yeah, Riles loves Danny, like so thankful. Like he's like, you know, when you have like relationships, I think, and you like you trust someone and you like want to work hard for that person. That's what Riles and Danny are like. So it's been really, really cool to see that kind of grow over the last number of years and kind of where they both sit now, working their way in hockey on the other side with the skates off, right? In the boardrooms a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's been awesome. That's one thing too, Riles. I don't know. You probably see it now. I had no awareness of like life, like outside of not playing on the teams and like how many opportunities or jobs or roles there are inside of any franchise, from, you know, the office staff, tickets, sales, marketing. Like it was like an eye opener when I was like wheeling through offices when I was done and like how much things there are there. And, you know, going to the draft and seeing guys that like you at the draft, I ran into like guys I played junior with that are scouting, guys like I played with in the NHL that are scouting, that are on other organizations all over the league, that are everywhere from amateur to pro. So the draft is awesome. The draft is super fun just because it's like a reunion almost. And that's a game of hockey, man. Everyone loves it. Everyone sticks in it. There's lots of jobs out there. You got to just be a hustler. You got to go get your stuff done.
Yeah,
that's it. And to your point there too, with your brother, like you just have one person to believe in you. In this case, Danny Briere, right? It's like no matter if it's on the playing side or the executive side, right? And the business side is just like someone believe in you, give you a chance, and like how many years later, you know, he's obviously evolved and it moved up in the world, and only because of the grit and the hard work, and like you said, like having someone believe in you, and then you want to go through the wall for that guy because
I just saw a thing on Trevor Lewis, like 1,000 games played, and I saw a little clip on him about his relationship with Daryl Sutter, who's like he's a Sutter brother. He's a hard ass, you know, like you hear the stories. One of the great post-game press conference coaches of all time, just hilarious.
Yes.
But like this guy flew out for his 1,000th game ceremony. It was canceled once or something, and then something else happened. They bumped it again, and he got hurt or something. So it didn't pan out, and he came down twice to his 1,000 game ceremony to support Lewis, who he, you know, says is his favorite player. Daryl Sutter says that, and like just loved his role. Trusted him, right, and played for him for a long time, eventually going back and returning back to LA now. But to your point about trusting guys, that's like what hockey's all about. You get a guy that you like and you know what he can do. You don't have to worry about him. You know what he's making, and the cap wise, we know we got to keep this guy. And that's hockey, man.
It is.
Yeah,
it really
right.
is.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Sutters, Daryl. You played for Brent for 3 years, 3 and a half, maybe.
3 years.
Maybe talk about your experience. Well, in Red Deer, obviously, you had a hell of a team, but just having him as a head coach, I think he was owner, right? GM. He was kind of Jackie everything. He was doing it all. Maybe talk about your experience there and working and playing for Brent.
Yeah, it was awesome. It couldn't have been better, and he shook things up pretty hard when he came in there initially and took over the franchise. And yeah, you're right. He was like Jackie. He wore all the hats there and was in complete control of everything, and intense guy, and just finished playing and like wired like crazy. But, you know, he had a plan and he had an idea, and we had, we played against you. We had like the first year that he was there, he got rid of like, it was crazy. I was one of the young guys, rookies in there. We had like Joel Stepp, Jeff Wojcicka, Doug Lynch, Boyd Gordon. These were like our, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, like rookies. And he just kind of got rid of a bunch of veterans that like, he was like, okay, we're building this thing, and kept all of us young guys. And then like trained us to be like the thing about our team with him is like, he trained us and practiced, and like our approach and our mentality was like everything Sutter like. So it was like we were like caged animals a little bit, and we could play any way you wanted to. And we could beat you 2-1, or we could beat you 6-5. And if it got a little rough, we had some characters to take care of that. Jim Vandermeer, great flyer legend as well, and he bounced around a bit. He was our captain, one of the toughest guys in the league at the time. But yeah, it was amazing. I would say for junior hockey, and I don't know, the game's changed a lot now, obviously, but it prepared me so well for after I left there and learning how to win at the Memorial Cup and getting that done at that level. But the approach, the preparation, the mentality, the responsibility of being a good teammate and how to play properly and how to prepare to play every single night, like ready to go. Like that, those were the demands on us at 16, 17, 18, you know? And so when I got to pro hockey, I was like, oh shit. Like, I think I understand it a little bit more. So it was a great stepping stone for me, having him as like coach, mentor, guy that prepared you to have a guy like that played that long in the NHL with that kind of experience and that attention to detail and team play and individual play. That like ultimately, like I think got me really ready. Don't worry. I had my eye-opening experience when I got to the American League and screwed up some things and like did some dumb stuff, like no question. Like I slipped a little bit here and there, like anyone probably does, but yeah, he put us, all of us on those teams on the right path and preparing us to, you know, take the next step. No question. It was awesome. Great experience.
I saw, oh, go ahead, Riggs, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, you know, you only know what you know and what you see. You know, he just obviously seemed like a hard guy and like a super intense guy. And obviously the stories kind of backed it up. There's one memory that I have, and I don't know if you remember this. Shane Bandera, he pulls him like after 2 goals in the first period, or pulls him to the bench, calls a timeout, and just rips him a new asshole. Just tears in. Didn't even talk to anybody else, and then just puts him back in the net. I'm like, holy, like this could go, you know, one of 2 ways. He's gonna, you know, just be absolutely terrible, or he's gonna look like a genius. And he, sure enough, goes back in, just like quiets. You guys just do your thing. I was just like,
Bandera was awesome for us. Bandera was unbelievable, like brick wall.
He was, right?
Man, I played my first ever junior game. I got called up. I was playing for the Saskatoon Blazers in PA. I don't know if you were on that team. Hartsey was on the team. There was a massive line brawl, and
it's Stephen Pete and Jeremy Getzinger.
Pete, and Getzinger and Greg Brunel, and he went into the
penalty box.
Bruno.
Yeah.
We called him the POD, the pack of dynamite.
Oh, buddy, yeah. He was a Shrek and a half. That
I
guy.
remember that, bro.
And he came out of his penalty box and went into your guys' penalty box, and Bruno and Getzinger are fighting Stephen Pete in the other team's penalty box because there was a line brawl.
God.
And I was on the ice for it, actually. There was like a giant, I had a full bubble on. I had to wear the bubble because I was a call-up. And I look over, and this guy on our team, František Mrazek, he was like a mid-round pick to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's huge, though. He's like 6'5", like 225, like Jack, big Czech dude. And I look over, and fucking Hartsey has him like pinned in a 3-point stance. He's on the ice, and Hartsey's just starting a lawnmower on him. I was like, oh my God. Then I'm out there picking up the gloves because I'm like the bubble guy, and like Blaine Stoward, one of your teammates. He's like,
Blaine.
Stoward's out there, me and him are like mopping up all the gloves and sticks and helmets and everything from this brawl. And then all of a sudden Pete goes into the penalty box, and like the benches all come over again, and there's like a huge brawl again. That was my first ever game. The guys got kicked out, and I got to play like all the time. It was crazy. That was all in PA. Your barn, buddy.
I remember that. Yeah, I was playing. I was on the bench. I remember it. I had no idea that was your first game, but I remember Stephen Pete like taking him off the forehead and smiling at Getzinger and Brunel, and just like loving to get hit.
Yeah, rest in peace, Stephen Pete.
Rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace. That's right.
Jesus Christ.
Oh wow, what a memory! What a memory.
Like,
you're rocking the bubble.
That's unreal, man. Like, I can't even believe you just brought up Craig Brunel. We had him with the Phantoms for a little bit, and we just what a guy. But
Bruno broke his hand in a fight that year, or maybe it was the next year, and we traded. We traded from PA. We got him in Red Deer.
Oh, that's right, with Ross Lupus truck, right?
Loopy trade, yeah, and right. Benny and not Benny, Cam Ondrick as our goalie. We got. Oh, did we get him from the Blades? Maybe I forget.
Oh yeah, there was.
That might have been a different trade. But we got Bruno and we got Loopy together in a deal. for my buddy Darbs. We sent Darbs over to you guys.
Yeah, Regan Darby.
Was
Steve McIntyre in that deal too?
McIntyre was the Blades deal. We got him from the Blades.
Oh, the Blades
too.
deal.
Yeah.
And
we got Marty Erat.
McQueen.
Oh, McQueen went in that deal. Yeah. But Bruno broke his hand during the season, and he had like a cast on his hand up to like his elbow. And he's like, Bruno, he's like, he doesn't give a shit. So he's like, gets a saw. He has like a real saw. He saws it down to like here. So it's like not up to here. So he can like just get the little, like the cast part in his glove. And then he starts like, he has like a coat hanger. He's scratchy. He's like a caveman, He's like, my hand's itchy. And then he eventually like played like 2 weeks later. Like he's supposed to be out like 4 weeks or something, like a broken wrist. And like he's out there going again and like did like a home improvement project on his own cast and everything at the rink, just like a lunatic. Just a lunatic. He's awesome. And he was brutal to play against once I got to pro again. And then we were coming in from Wilkes-Barre into the old Spectrum.
Yeah,
and,
the Spectrum.
All you guys were there. I was like, holy shit, this is brutal.
Oh my God. There was one thing I saw. I think I saw you talking about it. I obviously heard it, but you were talking about Sutter coaching it. Did he bring in wooden sticks or something?
Oh yeah.
But
in Brandon, we had an off night or an off game, and he was pissed at us, and we weren't working hard enough, and he made us cut down all brand new like WHL1 pattern like sticks, and because we was the first year that the Synergy came out, and so he got them for like our whole team. It was like I don't know, it was like we were like the first full team to like all use them and get them, which was crazy at the time. But he took them all away from us during the game. And then we had to get these wood sticks. So we're all like sawing down our sticks after period in Brandon. And then we had to like tape our sticks and like work on the blade in like Sharpie marker on the stick blade.
I was telling Riley.
So old school, eh? Oh my God.
I was telling Riley about that. I said, I think I remember Colby telling a story. Maybe it was on Chiclets. I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw you talking about it. And I was like, we started laughing because we had Ryan Parent in a trade. We got him in a trade with Scotty Upshaw from Nashville when we sent Peter Forsberg there.
Yeah.
And Bernie comes in, and it wasn't that year, but it was the next year. Homer comes downstairs, Paul Holmgren, it's the GM, and he comes down. He's like, D, you gotta get some wood sticks for. We called him Bernie, even though his name was Parent, not Perrott, but it's spelled the same way. So we called him Bernie. He goes, Bernie needs some wood sticks. I'm like, Homer. He goes, no, we got to get them. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to this kid's in NHL and say, hey, I got to get you some wood sticks, man? I'm like, dude, Homer, you go tell him. Like, I'm not walking on. I don't care who it is. If it's his only game he ever plays, but I'm not doing it. But it just reminded me of that when I heard you tell that story, I was dying laughing.
The wood stick was the best, man. Like you're a winger, like you're streaking down the wing, a little D-to-D cross ice breakout, slapper pass, all the way. You just stick the wood stick out, one hand on your stick, just thunk, it just hits it, stops. It's unreal. Right. They're the best.
I don't like your blades, Riles, the first time when you joined the team there that year.
I was using the Crosby pattern.
Yeah, he had a Crosby pattern. Basically, I didn't know if he was right or left-handed. I wasn't sure when I unpacked his shit.
Still figuring it out, Nast.
I did notice one thing. I saw a picture of Army. Did you use the? We called it. Riley used it, the Green Goblin. But did you use the C-stip with the holes in it?
You use that, Riley?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah,
we called it the Green Goblin.
Yeah. The flute, I called it the flute, the magic flute. Yeah. It was okay. So here's the list of guys that used it in the NHL then. Riley, me, Kris Neal, and Pavel Datsyuk. Datsyuk used that.
No,
that's right, he did.
Why the hell
it was blue though, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was green too.
It was green. Oh, it was. Oh man.
My God.
Yeah,
CCM was paying, man. They were paying.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a little heavier. I liked it a little heavier like that. And when I used it, I was like, okay, it's a brutal stick. I don't know why there's circles in the shaft, but like I like the feel of it, so I started using it.
Yeah.
I can't believe we got another guy on the list that used it. We should have been getting paid way more, actually.
Yeah. I know.
They should have paid us to death to use that stick. We should have been getting huge bonuses.
Oh my God, it's so great.
They discontinued that one after that season, I think, right? It was like
I asked them, like, what's the point of this? Is it like air? Like you could like a tennis racket, you could swing a racket decent the air.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's like this is what I heard. It's like bridge technology. Like, guys are slashing your stick down there. It like makes it stronger where the holes are, so your stick doesn't break all the time in that area. That's what I heard. I don't know. I don't get it. It was ugly. I scored a goal preseason game. I think it was against Philly in London. It was I was like in round 14. I was with the Leafs. They called me to come out. I come in, half clapper, top Jed. I think it was like, who do you guys have? Bobrovsky? Was he there? I think it was on Bobrovsky.
It might have been. Yeah, I think Bob was there.
Ended the game, ended the shootout, and I came out. I just with the stick.
Oh, that's so funny.
I wish I would have noticed that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we did. We used to go play. We played London because Comcast Spectacor, who owned the team, owned that building there where London Knights played. I wanted to. I feel like we could have you on all day, for fuck's sakes. I know you're busy, but I want to get in a little bit about your career. Obviously, your first round draft pick, but you spent 3.5 seasons basically in Scranton, and that's where I was introduced to you. And Riley already knew you, obviously, but I always loved your game because I love the guys that play on the edge and just fucking getting under guys' skin and fucking hitting and scored. You did I mean, not to blow smoke here, but and pump your tires, but I will, because I just love the way you played all the time, and I always would just giggle because I could just see you talking to guys and trying to stir the pot a little bit. But you spent three seasons in Scranton. And I was just wondering, like, every time we went to Scranton, first of all, you had a great crowd.
Oh,
I mean, it was
awesome.
Fucking warm-ups was almost full back then. And it was just, I wondered what it was like in your guys' room, knowing, because it was basically a war every time we played guys.
And we had, like, who do we have? We had, like, Bushy and Coachy.
Yeah.
That were like,
Guillaume
Lefebvre, too. He was a sneaky, tough guy a little bit, too. He could chuck him really good. And you guys had a wealth of.
Was Bonvie there yet?
Bonvie came like the later, like maybe my second or third year when I was there to play with Bones.
Okay.
So I played against
Bonvie,
like, he's in Binghamton. He was in Hershey, I think, early, and then eventually came back because he was in Wilkes for a bit too before I got there. But I was like 3.5 years, boys, first round pick. I was like, I didn't even get a game, didn't get a sniff, didn't get a call up. I'm like, I'm going to Russia. I'm probably going to Russia. Cleared waivers. I'm like, oh my God, it's over. It's over. No one selected me off waivers. I'm like, how the hell? No one, not even the worst team in the league wanted me. Holy God. We were probably the worst team in the league, actually, the Penguins at the time. They were one of the worst. But it was awesome playing there. Like, it was great. We had Michel Therrien, who came in and took over for Glenn Patrick. And he was much like Sutsy a little bit, and like just demanding and push your buttons, and I kind of like reacted to that. I like hard coaches like that. That's how, I don't know. I like that they pushed me. And it took me, I think, a while to figure out not only like just being a rat out there, because I was like a little shit disturber, but I think like how to play like responsible and develop these parts of my game, how to handle myself on the boards, at the blue line, on breakouts, and all these little tricks I picked up in surviving and trying to play well. But then I like later on, I was like, I kind of just said, fuck it, in a way with like recklessness to my game, where I was like, I kind of was just like, fuck, I'm just going to be nasty, and that kind of changed it. It was a trainer. He said to me, like, he's like, Army, you got to just be a little more reckless on the ice, like a little tip to me, and
Doobie? Was it Doobie?
No, it was Steph Dubé. He was our strength. Okay. He was our strength coach. He's like, Pit Dog, you got to get like more like reckless out there. And I was like, okay. And I like how I perceived that was like, okay, I'm like, if I got to I'm gonna level the boom on guys and figure out how to be like more important physically in games. I wasn't a good fighter. I get beat up all the time. I stunk at fighting. I was like willing, and I had to be with the way I played, but I was not. I sucked at fighting. My dad would hate when I fought, even though my dad's old school, loves hockey like that. But he's like, you're so bad at fighting, like it's embarrassing. And so I was like, okay. But anyway, so that's what kind of changed for me coming out of that lockout year, which was a great year of hockey in the American League. It was unbelievable. The guys, every team was unreal. It was high paced, like super competitive, and the league was awesome. And coming out of that, and I just kind of flipped a switch the next year where I was like, fuck it, I have nothing to lose. Like, just be a little bit more of a prick, you know?
Right.
And that led to me getting called up, and then eventually, and then led to me like, you know, moving up in the lineup and getting to play with Sid, which was great for like a year and a half there, or a full year maybe of time with him, and still playing that game. The only time, excuse me, pardon me, the only time I kind of gotten shit from Terry, and eventually, because he moved up as well as the coach, was like he'd like have to call me in to remind me that I'm like, you're not Sidney Crosby, like be Colby Armstrong.
Right.
And I was, because you get every once in a while you think you're a skill guy, you know?
Right. Well, I mean,
I was like,
listen,
know your role, you know your role. And I was like, okay,
right.
I had to like, took me a while to like check myself up again and be like, okay, I'm on his line right now. We don't have that great of a team right now. So that's part of it. And I'm on his line because I have a little chemistry, but I'm on his line because I do this, and this well, not because I'm changing to be like this other guy. So every once in a while, I would stray away and think I was fucking sweet, you know, and then he'd have to check me up and pull me back in and getting back into my mold a little bit, which, you know, was the reason why I was there and the reason why I was like successful there. So, yeah, it was an interesting grind, interesting run. The American League was awesome though. We had great teams. We had good players. We had great guys. We spent a lot of time together down there just because of the situation up in Pittsburgh financially and bankruptcy issues and team moving and all this kind of stuff. So we had a wealth of talent down there and younger guys, and made for some pretty good teams along with Philly. Like we battled you guys head to head all the time, man. It was crazy the amount of times we played you guys and how good the teams were as well. And then that thing that sucked, I thought we were going to win the Calder Cup. We went to the final, lost. Then that next year, we lost out to you guys in a game. Do you remember that game?
That was an epic game in Philly, right?
Riles' line was like had three. You and Gratz
scored from like the fucking red line. Like it was crazy. It was the most epic debacle collapse in pro sports in a game, I think.
Right.
What were you guys up 5-1 or something?
5-1, like halfway through the third. And you guys ripped off like 5 goals in like 6 minutes. We couldn't stop scoring.
Right.
It was the craziest like tsunami wave in the history of pro sports. Like it was insane. And like really if we would have won that game and just hung on to that, like it would have been
you go back.
Good night, Irene. We would have took it back to Wilkes, and we had our crowd. It was sold out, white out. You know, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And Cartsy and Richards were, you know, big parts.
They certainly helped. Yeah.
Oh,
they were okay. They were okay.
They were unbelievable. Though you guys there's like a cheat code that you guys pulled those guys out of your ass and got them in there. But we had some battles, man, and learned a lot. I loved it. Loved the guys. Loved all the guys I played against down there too. Like some characters and beauties. And you know, I loved seeing guys that were down there for a while that I played against forever that were all in the NHL. Then I was like, man, these guys, like no one knows. You just pop up on the radar in the show and they're like, oh yeah, he's called up. Great. You don't know, like that guy just spent like 3-4 years, like playing his ass off, riding buses and eating soggy subs and fighting fucking maniacs like you had to do and like all this stuff. And then you pop up in the show and it's like he's a new guy, he's like the new face, but it's like, no, this guy's grizzled as shit.
I used to love those games because it felt like you know, with that crowd there, and even in Philly, like we were fortunate the first few years where the crowds were really good in this in the Spectrum as well. But your building, it was just so electric, and but one of my favorite things was the Woodlands Bar.
Yeah, that was everyone's favorite.
Yeah, a little damage in there once in a while, boys. Better not get into that too much. But Tom Grace,
the voice,
this guy was holding court in that bar, and I'm like, how can you even hear him? With it? It's like a club, like they had a little club area or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, the first time I'm in there, I'm like a fucking idiot. I'm like, man, I've been there with a couple of boys. I'm like, this place is huge. It was fucking mirrors, so I thought the fucking bar was like
huge. It wasn't that huge, but it looked huge.
No, yeah, I know. So I go to take a little lap, and I'm like, It's a fucking mirrored wall. Fucking nowhere to go. But Tom Grace used to make me laugh, man.
Buddy, that guy was the king. He was like the mayor of Wilkes-Barre.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was he
was
mayor?
literally like, he was on the team. He was like in the coach's room. He was like on the bus. He was like, we'd have like a team party. Gracie would show up. He was a beauty. He was a beauty. For me, I was like, why the heck is that our broadcaster or radio guys at our party? Like, what is going on here? Coming out of junior,
Yeah,
I was like, what is going on? But then he was like, dude, if a player had an autograph signing, it would be like we had good following, like lineups out of the ass. It was crazy. Gracie would have like an autograph signing table. He was like his lineup was unbelievable. This guy was a legend. I'm telling you. I think he left years later to go to like Florida and become
he was in
like
Florida.
Team services. He tried his hat at a few different things. Like it was crazy. Like what he was there. He was like, I don't even know how to explain it. Cause I don't know if it's ever been done where like Mike Lang, who just passed away here in Pittsburgh.
God rest him, man.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah, just a legendary play-by-play guy, but and it was as big as the players here too through his time, just because he was that personality and that voice and that sound. But I don't know. Like Mike Lang never showed up to the team party.
Yeah, right.
But don't get me wrong. I loved when Gracie was there. He's a personality. He was awesome. He loved the boys. He loved the team, and he loved Wilkes-Barre. So it really endeared him as a guy from Mass. It really endeared him to the fans and the people there. He was just as big as any of the players on our team, though. Crazy.
I used to turn up over my shoulder rigs just to watch the fucking arms go as he's calling the game.
Animated.
And I would laugh. He was so nice. I talked to him every time I was just going to stand out in the hallway, and it was funny. So he would come around the corner and he'd be like, Nasty, and I just talked to him for like 15 minutes.
Nasty. Yeah. He's very professional.
Could you ask John if he would, John Stevens, could you ask John if he could come out? And I'd walk into the room, to the change room where the coaches sat, and I'd be like, Rambo, who we call Johnny Rambo. I'd be like, Rambo, Gracie's out there. He goes, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm like, go talk to the guy. He goes, nah, because I have to hear him on the video when I'm watching the video, and this guy, he's, I'm like,
oh yeah. He was a homer. He was a huge homer.
It was great. It was me and our video coach, who's now the video coach for the Flyers, Adam Patterson. We would be fucking crying. He would put little clips together of Gracie, but one of the funniest things was like he was a homer, but like who cares? Like it was great.
Supposed to be.
And we laughed, but there was one night where it was fight after fight, and our buddy Max Talbot. He ended up on the short end there when Eags was the last guy. So you got to give Max credit. He fucking dropped the gloves, and everybody's chucking him. And poor Max just, Eags was huge too, right? So he's kind of ragdolled him. And so I said to AP, I'm like, can you pull it up? Like I want to hear like him calling the fights. And so he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Max Talbot is getting fed by Binnington. I had never heard him say that. I thought it was going to be Talbot's hanging in there. Oh, I think he hit him with one. It was like, ladies and gentlemen, Max Talbot is getting fed by Binnington. And I was like,
Max Talbot was fighting him because you have to, and like because he's a warrior. Ben Eager was fighting him because he's like angry and evil.
He wanted to kill him.
He wanted to kill him, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's class. That was the first fight that the baby Pens ever lost, according to
for sure. For sure it was. For sure.
Great memories, though. Great place to play, man. Sold out every game, and huge rivalries against like you guys and other teams in around the area, Hershey and others. Like just fucking great memories. So like some of the best hockey too. Just every team was pretty stacked and loaded with talent and prospects. And Binghamton, they had a squad too. Like holy shit. And so like looking back on it, if you're a scout, if you're a player development guy like my brother now, and you have to go watch that kind of hockey, you're just like you're loving it. You must have been loving it to watch that kind of hockey and watch what your guys were doing, because those teams were so good.
Yeah, for sure. And then in 05-06 you end up playing 47 games, and then you never really look back. Obviously, I played in the NHL, but I wanted to ask, get into a little bit with the big Penguins, playing with Sidney, which you brought up a few minutes ago, man. I've always like he's hated in Philly, and I try to explain to people. Once I met him, I actually got to really know him through Max Talbot once we got Max. And I'm like, I always tell people, like, you don't understand what kind of a person this guy is. Like, he's one of the best people I've met in hockey. But anyway, I was going to say 19 years, even his first year, I think he had 100 points when he was 18 years old. His next year, he had 120. But it's pretty impressive and
pretty good wingers,
I was going to say, yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to pick your brain on that and ask you obviously it was great, but getting to play with him.
Yeah, like, so when we got him, like, you know how it was back then, it's like you just heard about him. You didn't you didn't see anything. There's no way to see a guy. You're just like, okay, this kid's like supposed to be unreal. And you're like, yeah, right. Okay, good one. And I remember standing down at the glass at camp that year, and I was like, saw him like going against like NHL guys. He's 18. And like the shit he was doing, I was like, the way he protects pucks and how strong he is and his compete level. And like, I was just like, oh my God, like this guy is like unbelievable. The way he sees the ice, I was like, holy shit. Like, how did he see that? How did he do that? So right away, I was like, oh my God. Cleared waivers, sent down. I was in Wilkes-Barre. Steph Dubé, the strength coach I was telling you about, he's like, hey, Pit Dog, you want to go watch the Penguins against the Flyers tonight down? And so we're like, yeah, sure. I'd love to do that. So him and I get in a car, drive down to Philly, go watch. That was a game. That was a game that Hatcher chipped his teeth all out, and like they were roughing him around, and he showed up, and then he scored that OT winner. I was sitting in the stands. He streaked down in front of me to score that OT winner, and then celebrating with his teeth. With his hair down over his face, like, yeah. And I was double fisting beers, minor league style, in the stands, and I was sitting there with Dubé and a section of all Flyers fans. They were motherfucking him all night. And then he scored the goal. Then one of the guys in the section, they probably all know each other, like season tickets or something. One guy stands up and he's like, shit. He's like, I think we're going to have to get used to seeing that a lot, unfortunately. Because the guy just said it straight up, and everyone was like nodding their heads, kind of like, oh my God. It was just like, it was like one of his like vintage marquee like games for him early in his career. Yeah. And I was sitting in the stands watching it. And then 2 weeks later, I was like called up on the team. It was the craziest thing. I was like, this is unreal.
Hey, I watched you play I was at the game a couple weeks ago. Man.
I told him that. I told him all that stuff. Yeah. And then I got called up. Then all of a sudden I was like his roommate. And I was like, okay, why are they putting me in here with him? I'm like a call up. I like, what's going on? Like, and then, so we're roommates. Then 10, 12 games in, now I get elevated from like the fourth line, like a regular call up. Now I'm on his line. I'm on the first line. I'm like on the power play and shit. And like, now I'm playing with him all the time. And we just took off. Like, how do you not with him? He's just driving the bus. He's so competitive. He's dialed in, ready to go every night, and just producing like a maniac. And that was an unbelievable ride. We weren't very good, but had a blast. I didn't want that year to end. It was so fun playing with him. And we had Andy Hilbert on our line too. He was solid.
I remember him. Yeah. I remember him.
Good player, worked hard, physical, like not very big, but really good. So our line just had like chemistry and made things happen. And Sid just like fed us backdoor tap-ins and everything. It was unbelievable. And then the next year was another story. We made the playoffs for the first time, which was huge. I'll never forget that. Playing Ottawa Senators, they whooped us. They went to the final and lost to Anaheim. And then the next year I got traded. The next year that they went to the final. So we were like brutal. Then we got a taste of playoffs. And like after we lost in the first round, although we were like, man, we're going to be good next year. Like we knew we were going to be good. We were talking about it right when we lost out. Like as soon as we lost that series, we're like, next year we're going to kick ass. And then I got traded right at the deadline for Hossa. And they went on a great playoff run to the final all the way with Detroit, lost, and then won it the next year. So it sucked to miss out on like the fruits of like the good times after such like hard times in Pittsburgh and being a part of that organization and, you know, financial trouble and Mario saving the team and the announcement that we're staying and being through all that. And then the team, you know, with Malkin and Stahl and Fleury and, you know, the list goes on and on with Sid getting better and bringing in guys and eventually being what they were. And I mean, it's been 20 years Sid's been there and haven't made the playoffs the last number of years, but for the most part, it's like you never count out the Penguins no matter what because of those guys. And this year may be a little different where they're sitting right now and where it's going. Your Flyers just laid a beating on the Penguins. We got them again Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday there. Yeah. Are you doing the game?
I'm doing the game. I'm back in. I'm back on the clock, boys. But it's been 20 years culturally building and winning and like hard work and like what Sid has kind of built here in Pittsburgh has been amazing over that time. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but it's crazy to say it's been 20 years. So
it is.
Pretty special to be able now to like watch him every single night doing what I'm doing now. It's awesome.
Yeah, I heard you one time talking about Sid. Obviously, you're close with him and everything, but you were kind of like explaining, like, yes, he was probably touched by God, like a lot of athletes are, but I mean, this guy puts the work in. And I was at the morning skate yesterday. He was the third guy on the ice early, like 15 minutes early, tipping pucks, shooting pucks. And then I watched the practice. Everything he did was detailed. Everything he did was 100%. It wasn't cruising around, And so, I mean, I don't think he needs Sully out there getting on him to do anything, but just the way he prepares. And I heard you talking about that one time, and obviously you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, like I think it's obviously changed over the years. He's 37 now, so like managing his body and managing his season, managing his games, and how he does that. Maybe he's adapted, obviously, but he's like a freak. He's a freak with the way he prepares himself and has learned how to prepare himself differently through his career, and his approach to the game and his thoughtfulness of his teammates and guys he's played with. Like he's played with a ton of guys that are like. Myself in that kind of realm that have like Pascal Dupuis, good player, but like, Chris Kunitz, good player. Yeah. But it's like, you wouldn't think like they would click with Sid, and he's good at he's probably the most adaptable player I've ever played with, to be able to find a way to play with any kind of guy. Like there's a big difference between playing with like, Hossa and playing with like Patrick Hornquist, but he can find a way to like understand how they play and make it work and see their strengths and play to those as a player inside of just being, a genius with the way he thinks and plays the game. He could morph into like making anyone look good with thinking the way he does on the ice. So yeah, he's been awesome to be around and watch and then off the ice to see the way like, like just little things like getting a photographer to take a picture when the trainer's in the room because the 2,500th game is coming up. And like, he handles all that shit. Like he thinks of all that stuff on the side of being like this awesome player. So like super, super thoughtful teammate. Yeah. Yeah. And when you come in the room, like he's right over there with you and makes you feel comfortable. And he's just really good at it. And I give him a ton of credit, and his parents a ton of credit to raise him like not only a good player, but like he's a good, really great person and teammate.
Sure is.
Yeah.
I heard you telling a story also one time, and I thought it was really funny. You guys all, I guess, jumped in a limo or jumped in a car and went to the Steelers game. When he was still young and he was kind of paranoid.
We were going into the general population, like we had tickets to Steelers game. Gen Pop. So we had like a car service pick us up, and we were going down to the game, and he was a little concerned with like the fans and shit because it's Sid, this guy's like the gold. He was like freaking man. It was crazy. Like everywhere we went, it's like the Beatles are here, it's crazy. So he's like, hey, you guys, like when we get there, like humbly, like, hey, like just watch out, like in case like it gets crazy, like stick with me and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, buddy, don't worry, I got you. I'm like an idiot, And I'm like, yeah, don't worry, buddy. Like I actually in Philly, I almost fought a seeker one time in the lobby at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel because they like, they hang around there. And then like the guys, he was rather aggressive, and I like stepped in, and I thought I was going to get stabbed on my way to dinner that night. I was like so scared. I'm like made Eric Cairns come with me to dinner because I'm like, I was worried. Cairnsy, of course, you got to have the big guy with you. But we get out of the car at the Steelers game, and we're like getting ready to maneuver in like Secret Service with Sid and like how we're going to get in there. We got girls and wives with us a little bit too, so we got a big group. And some guy comes up right away. He's like, hey, man, it's Colby Armstrong. And I turn to him right away, and I'm like, form a formation around me, boy. Form a formation.
Holy fuck, that's funny.
Yeah, it was classic. Right out of the gates. The wrong guy for that to happen to. I was looking it up. I was like, this is amazing, Sid. My God.
Oh, my God. That's fucking
He's
great,
laughing his ass off. He was laughing.
That's so funny.
But I called him I called him the Creature. That was my nickname I gave him. Creech, shortened it up, little Creech.
Yeah.
And I came up with this story in my head about him, and it's like so fitting. He was like born under the bleachers of a rink in Nova Scotia, and like he like It's like the Grinch kind of, but like the reverse, like the hockey guy. And he would like eat little chewed up pieces of popcorn on the ground underneath anything that's kicked under there. And he'd like watch through the bleachers, like guys played beer league and stuff. And like he honed his skills he's like a creature in this arena. And he just grew up to be this like phenomenal hockey guy. So he called him the creature. So I was hanging out with Bugsy the other day, and anytime he talks, he's like, "You talk to Creech?"
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, fuck, I wish I would have known that yesterday. I would have said, "Oh, hey, we're here with the Creech."
Yeah,
perfect.
He
would have known what I was saying.
Yeah, he would have laughed. Yeah,
God.
oh yeah. Where'd you get that?
That's fucking great, man. So you get traded, which I'm sure that was the last thing you probably were expecting, actually. But you get traded to Atlanta, and your mom told you, right? You're in the middle of a nap, and your mom told you.
Yeah, I was on Long Island. We were playing the Islanders that night. My mom called me, and it was like 3:00. I sleep from 2 to 4, like good shutdown, you know?
Yeah.
And my mom called me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got a game tonight, Mom. I'm sleeping." Little flip phone, you know, how's she going?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you didn't hear?" I'm like, "Hear what?" She's like, "Oh, you got traded." I wasn't thinking about it at all. I was like calm. I was chilling. And Sid was my roommate, and he was out with an injury, so he wasn't on the road trip. So I had a room. Like, well, how does this happen? I got a room by myself. You got like veteran guys at the time that were like roommates with guys, and I'm here in a room by myself, all sprawled out in a king size. It's hilarious. But my mom called me, told me I got traded, to Atlanta. And the story is I'm like, where? And she just said, "Oh my boy." And I said, "Atlanta." And she said, "Oh my boy." And she said, "Yeah." And so I just guessed Atlanta because I could tell by like her voice.
Right.
So ended up being there the next day, flew out to Long Island, just blown away. I was rattled. Well, you know how it is when you come to a team or you're drafted and like that's your first place, and all your buddies, like I'd been there for 5 years, going to camps for like 7 years and knowing everybody in the organization, and you're just comfortable kind of, and you never think it's going to happen. And this first time I ever got traded. So it was a shock to the system. And they go down there and we're building this like good team. Like that year they went to the final. We were good, so then I get to Atlanta, and it's like we're battling in the South-Least division, I called it.
South-Least.
Yeah, it was just like the Caps would win the division, then everyone else was just there.
Well, it was a packed building at least every night.
I remember playing against guys lining up off the off league face off, and like Steve Ott, he'd be like, "How the fuck do you play here?" I'm like, "Oh my god, just drop the puck, buddy. Just drop the puck. Let's get this on."
I was gonna say though, you did get.
I actually liked it there. I liked living there.
Did you?
It's too bad that hockey didn't work there,
right.
And maybe they get another team back. We'll see. Third time might be the charm, but we just didn't have like a huge supportive. Like we had good fans, but they were not a huge group of them. So it made for like empty nights and quiet buildings and different atmosphere, and so you appreciate it a lot more later when I signed in Toronto and went in there, and it was the exact opposite of what I'd experienced down in Atlanta for like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. But you did play with Kovalchuk. Like,
my God,
that must have been like watching him every night, or even in practices and stuff.
I couldn't believe he could, like, how fast he was, right? Like he could fly, but he was like 230, 240. Like he was a thick, big dude. Like he was like one of those Russian dudes, like thick.
Yeah.
Then you see him and how thick and big he is and huge he is. You see him skate, like, and then you see his hands and his shot. It's like, how are you this huge and this talented all at the same time? Like something's got to be off here,
Yeah.
But every night to watch him, it's like he scored every night. It was crazy to watch like a 50 goal scorer go to work that could score like that. And like he was like electric to watch too, just the way he played. And he was like kind of like like sneaky, like snap show, where he'd like snap and like fight guys sometimes and just be throwing them like mad ragdolling guys. He was so strong.
He's so strong.
Yeah, but it was cool to watch and play with him and see how just naturally gifted, talented, and huge he was. And then he was like also on the flip side, like practicing and like being around the rink, and like it was different than Sid, no question.
Oh, okay.
With the way he approached it, and like he would show up and just put on a clinic, but it was just different than like the coming from Sid and the way he handled the room and everything like that. But man, watching him every night and playing with him, I'm blown away that like our barn wasn't more packed just to see how, just to watch him, because he was so damn good. He was amazing.
Yeah, I remember one time, Riles, you were playing, and Colby, I'm not sure if you were there this year, but Don Waddell was a GM, and
Yeah.
one of my really good friends, Joey Gilmay, he was
he's beauty.
Beauty, and I'm like, the guys have gotten on the bus, and the last couple are maybe got skated extra, whatever. They're leaving, so I'm starting to hang the jerseys. So I'm hanging. I think I was hanging our whites. No, it must. I was hanging our blacks, because if you on Sundays, I think it was a Sunday game, you guys wore the light blue jersey.
Yeah, powder blue.
Well, we always got a list from the league, and I always had it in my little notebook, and I knew when I had to take a the opposite jerseys than we would normally take on the road. Well, wasn't on my list. So Joey comes down. We're getting ready to go to lunch. He goes, bro, he's like, you got your black jerseys. We're wearing our light blue tonight. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, I think you need to wear your white jerseys. I'm like, bro, I didn't bring my white jerseys. It's a one and done. So I had to get interns to fly down. They booked them a flight, put all our white jerseys, white helmets, white socks. The guy comes, and I'll never forget. So I'm like,
crazy.
Can you just ask Don? Like, do you mind asking Don if you guys can
switch?
just wear your whites tonight? And he did. Exactly. And Don said no. He said no.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm like, all right. So we figured it out. So I'll never forget Jeff Carter walking in. I think with you, Riggs, you two came together because you were roommates. And Jeff's like walks in, and he's like, didn't you have black jerseys up earlier? And I'm like, I did. He's like, how the fuck did you get those here so fast? But I just thought it was so funny. I'm like, I said to Joe, I was like, dude, like all 1,000 people here tonight, are they really going to care if you're wearing light blue or fucking white? And I wasn't being a dick. I was just kidding.
They love it. Like, they love those colors. Then we came out with those snazzy red ones that just said Thrashers across with the number underneath, like a football jersey. I'm like, what is it? I was like, what are we doing with these boys? Like these are brutal boys.
They're brutes. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Toronto. You were talking about you signed with them. You play with one of my buddies, Phil Kessel. And every time we get someone that played with Phil, like we're like, hey, give us a Phil Kessel story. And everyone seems to do it in his voice.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But I saw, well, if you have one, it'd be great.
I remember what did we say? Like, he's a finicky guy, and like, you know, he had that like electric, like 2-step speed, and then laterally he could like transport to the left or right with like, it was crazy. And then that shot, I tried to shoot with his stick one time. I'm like, can I try that, righty? And like, I couldn't even shoot. His stick was so flexy in weird spots, and his blade, and like somehow he could just like rip it in stride. Just
right.
Unreal.
Into it.
And unreal, like his get up and go was unreal. Like he could just take off, boom, gone. But I remember one time before the game, and he's like, I don't know, boys. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it tonight. Like, I just don't feel good. And he's like walking around, and he always had like you drink like a Coke or like have like something like settle his tummy down or something. And like had all these like little quirks about him. And I remember thinking like it was after we warmed up. So like they're flooding the ice. We're getting ready to go out for the game. So he's just like, I don't know, like my legs, and I don't feel good. And then we're like, I remember a bunch of like, Phil, it's like, find a way to get yourself ready to go. Like, we need you. You're like our best player. Like, we need you buzzing tonight, buddy. He's like, I don't know. I don't feel like that good. My legs don't feel good, boys. Like, just like, we were just like, come on, you can dig in, Phil. You got this, buddy. He probably had like 2 goals and 2 assists.
I was going to say, yeah. It's so funny because we had Joffrey Lupul on, and he was on a line with him there. And he says, I'm like, come on, like, I've got Phil stories from USA Hockey. Like, I was fortunate enough to do a lot of USA Hockey stuff. But anyway, he says they start the game. I can't remember who was on their line, but basically Loops kind of said what you said. They go out there. He's like, we had an unreal shift. We're like in their end, just tic-tac-toeing. Didn't score, but great shift. We're out there like 50 seconds. Goalie finally covers it up. We go to the bench, and he's like, fuck. Loops like taps. He's like, fucking rights. Let's go. Like this all night, whatever. Phil goes, I just don't think I got it tonight, Loops. You know, first chip of the game, and they're just all over whoever they were playing. He's like, I don't think I got it, boys. So I a funny, like, I'll tell you this real quickly. So I got to know Phil, like I said, through USA Hockey. So I don't stay in touch with him, talk to him, and obviously every time I'd see him. So I learned at one of the World Championships, he's one of the most gullible motherfuckers in the world. Like, so he was just hanging around me. I think it was the one where we were in Latvia. It's way back, like 2007, I think. And so he was just coming around with me. I was fairly young and not as young as him, but anyway, he was hanging out with me. So he just made me laugh, just the shit he was saying. But we're in Pittsburgh when he ends up there, and I would always come out to the bench and the boys are like going through, like starting to do stuff. And he was just leaning on the wall.
Oh, I know.
Just leaning on the wall, talking to me. And he's like, I'm like, Phil, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, what's going on? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you fucking big time me last night. Fuck, you don't call me. And I said, I wanted to go like look around, find some broads. And fucking broads are brutal here. Like just everything's bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, hey, what's going on with your twigs? What do you mean? I'm like, well, what's going on? It's like, remember Riles? I was telling you, I'm like, it's like they don't have any pop. And he's like, fuck, that's what I've been fucking telling him. There's no pop in my sticks. And I'm like, so now I'm fucking dying. So about an hour later, Dana Heinze comes down. He's like, D, he's like, I know you're buddies with Phil, but like he was in my office for 15 minutes and he must have said the word pop 20 times. He says the sticks don't have any fucking pop. So I'm just right in his fucking wheelhouse, right? And I said, hey, we're trying to win games here. He's like, leave this fucking guy alone.
Get in his kitchen. But he would do that in warmies though. Like he would just lean against the boards and put his hand on his hip, his little hangout. And he's just chilling. Chilling out there. Guys are buzzing around trying to
missing
get ready,
line rushes.
Let's go, Phil. Let's go.
He's just naturally like good. He's just like ping pong in the room, slaughter everyone. Like he's just like good at everything. It's crazy.
He when he was at Toronto there, I was always going that back area. I guess where their laundry was. I think it's all redone.
Yeah, the Cotton Club they call it. The Cotton Club.
He would tell one of the stick guys to come bring me around. So I would sit there and talk to him. He just fucking made me laugh. And so I'm at home one night. I don't think we played, and I was watching Toronto play on TV. I'm a fucking hockey nerd. I watch too much hockey. But anyway, he had a good game. And so I text him. I'm like, hey, bro, good game tonight. He had a couple G's or whatever. And about 30 minutes later, he goes, hey, bro, thanks. What's going on? I said, nothing. But I was wondering, what size pants are you wearing? Right away. Why? Why? Yeah. And as I'm reading it, I'm reading it in his voice. Why?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. They looked a little too big. They looked kind of boxy. Fuck you, man. I'm like, no, I'm just saying.
He's one of the old. Well, I think he had the zippers undone, like too.
Yeah,
so
he did.
Like no one ever done
inside there. Yeah,
I was just fucking with him because I always say, dude, your style is terrible. Like your style, he's got bad style, right? So the next day, Toronto's Pappy, the equipment guy there,
Brian Papineau, great guy.
So Pappy calls me in the office. He goes, hey, Nasty. He's laughing. He's like, what did you say to Phil last night? He said you were messaging him. He tried on every fucking pair of pants I had today. So
you see him looking in the mirror with his pants on. Yeah.
The mirror test. But I love Phil, and I love when guys have little stories about it. I've heard many guys tell them. But I also, when you were in Toronto, you played with one of my good buddies, Kris Versteeg. I was saying to Rouse, I was like, I could just imagine, because he was pretty lippy guy. Like he made me laugh. He's so fucking lippy, and I was like, you imagine fucking Army and Steger out there just chirping the boys.
Oh, I played online with Steger. Steger, Red Deer Rebel too, from Lethbridge, but
right.
He was with us, and then he got traded. Did he go from us to you or to Florida first? I think he went to Florida. And then you guys got him after Florida the next year?
Florida.
You know what? No. I think he came to us and then went to Florida.
Oh, you then Florida because he wasn't there long,
right?
Yeah,
he wasn't with us long.
I remember I talked to him later, though, about Florida because he would always bitch and complain when we got our paychecks about how many taxes were taken off his paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
He was going haywire in there. I said, hey, buddy, how's Florida? He goes, it's great. The taxes are right up my alley. That's what he said to me. He's a good nifty little player, man. Little weasel on the boards, like good at pulling pucks off the wall, making plays. So, yeah, he was a sneaky good little player and a good guy to play with too. Like smart, saw the game well, like somehow came out with pucks and like, just a little crafty little guy. And good run, few cups too. So
he was when we got him from Chicago, like I had a few buddies, Sharpie, obviously I had Sharpie here in Philly, so we always stayed pretty close, and Ben Eager and all these guys. So anyway, he gets traded to us, so he comes to Tampa, and he comes in. I like get his stuff situated, and we go to we start the game, and I don't know if you ever saw him, like he switched his gloves every fucking shift almost, like So he's standing there, and the anthem's going on. And I'm like, I could see him out of the corner of my eye, like looking at me. So I turn and he's like, he looks a little confused and he's like, dirt. He's saying something. I'm like, what? He's like, dirty. And I went, nasty. Oh, sorry, bro.
Thought you were dirty?
He couldn't remember. He's calling me. He's like, dirt. Dirty. So then he would call me dirty nasty.
Great. Dirty nasty. That's good.
And we would laugh. And he's like, can I change my gloves? I'm like, we're getting the anthem. So he was, but I love Steger, man. I talked to him quite a bit. We text a lot. He's
that's so funny. Like I just started thinking, like John Taglianetti here runs the Penguins now, head equipment guy. And I know you guys have all your conferences. I don't know where you guys do them, like Florida or like Arizona or some shit. You guys do these great things and have done them. Like equipment guys or like staff inside the equipment room would be unreal interviews because they have all like every story on every guy and like how particular they are to like some of the shit they say. Like it's just it would be wild to go down to like one of those conferences and Tags is like, you guys should come down to these conferences and interview us.
It's fun, man.
Bring Chiclets down there, man. It would be great. We have the best guys. And I'm like, oh yeah, they'd have some stuff. They'd have some great stories.
First thing I said to Tags, I sat there with him yesterday for about a half hour in the room, and I said, you still don't have Sid in the fucking blades so you can change. I said, what in the fuck is going on? And he goes, I'm getting closer. I'm like, fuck, how often are you how often are you changing steel? He's like, about every 2 weeks now. So I'm like,
if he has time between sewing his jock strap together and his shoulder pads, he can do his skates. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
When I did the 2017 All-Star game and it was in LA and Sid was fucking awesome. He was the only guy. Every player, like they went to the hotel and they had these little like those carts you see on baseball fields. They were just throwing the guy's stuff on, driving him across the street down the tunnel over to the whatever the fucking place is called. Crypto now. So Sid comes walking in the room with his bag. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, well, I just walked it over. I'm like,
he's old school.
They'll take it. He's like, oh, it's okay. So he's starting to unpack it. I'm like, dude, let me do my job. This is I can say I hung your bag finally. But I'm helping him to hang his shit. His shoulder pads weighed about 20 fucking pounds. There's so much shit on them. They're old. Yeah. I feel like he sweat so much in these things. And I'm like, dude, and you're still this good? I mean, these things weigh fucking 20 pounds, man. And
I know. They're crazy.
Can't get out of them.
If you see them, it's crazy. Like, you have to see it to believe it. Cause it's like, I don't even know how they're still alive. Those things are still going, but they're stitched together with extra padding added everywhere. It's just nuts. They got to go like his jock and his shouldies got to go to the Hall of Fame when he's done too. Right. Like those things are just relics.
Oh my God. It's crazy. He had that fucking jock. I said, it's hanging. I hang it on the loop, and it's all the way down.
Oh yeah, it's blown
apart. He goes, I just used my garter belt to keep it up. I'm like,
garter belt too.
It can't be comfortable, man. Like,
I just switched for beer league to the built-in one with the Velcro.
Did you? Velcro? Yeah.
I'm like, this is sick.
Velcro.
Yeah. The Velcro.
I thought the garter was like the way to go. Like I would never have done it, but now like the beer league guys throw you socks. They all have like the Velcros in the socks now. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I got to get one of these like loser beer league ones, and I got it now, and I'm like, this is sick.
It's nice.
These are unreal.
Oh, that's great, man. Hey, I had one more. I had one real quick question. I know you got to get going here, but I saw something a while back where you were doing like dwarf fours on ice, but I don't not maybe so much on ice, but you were talking to these two little guys.
Oh, the little guys, yeah.
What was that all about? I was fucking crying because they were like, "Oh, do you think we'd be in the mix?" Or like, "No, you'd probably be getting ragdolled," is what we call
yeah.
it.
No, those guys are beauties, John, and I forget the other guy's name, and they just kind of kick around at some of the events where like Chiclets Cup and outdoor games, and they're like little content guys, but they're just unreal. I don't even know where they're from. They're like unreal guys that just put out pumped. I saw the one guy just did like a skating competition against the one Hudson that's at BU that scored that highlight reel goal the other night.
Oh, yeah.
One of the Hudson brothers. I forget Quinn or something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
He did a race against him around the thing, and he's wearing skates. So those guys are just, they pop up everywhere. They're at all these little things and hang out with us every once in a while. Just great guys. But that's been like this world of like content and the Chiclets world and media and broadcasting, getting to meet some awesome people. And, like I said, jobs all over the place that kind of are in and around hockey, in and around the NHL that kind of make us all follow them, and everyone's getting all that shit. So it's been really cool to transition and move over into this world, and I'm having a blast doing it. It's been great.
Yeah. You're great at it.
Awesome.
Like I said, with your personality, we're having a blast too. We enjoy the shit out of it, humanizing the guys and seeing their personalities, which you brought up earlier. I think it's so important, and I think it's starting to really happen more in hockey, and I think it's bringing more people in.
Absolutely. Like all the little content things, like they're starting to get it more. And like before, I don't think guys would be as open to it and stay off social media, of course, but like it's hard to say that now more than ever. Like kind of runs the world a little bit to a certain degree. And I think guys are like, I think it's more relaxed a little bit, I'd say, as in regards to the athlete and how they engage with like, people and the fans and show that stuff. So, it's never been, I think, more fun. I think it's only going to get better. And, a lot of different places, a lot of different people are helping to do that with our game and our players. So it's been a credit to everyone. We're flying right now after Four Nations, boys? Hockey's buzzing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
Hockey's
buzzing. It's back. Yeah, no doubt. It's back on the map. Yeah, and if you have 1 ounce of creativity in you, and with with the technology and the social media, you can see all these different content creators with it. Never played an NHL game, probably a pro game, and finding a way to, accumulate 500,000 followers. And, it's just great for the game. You're seeing them show up at, different NHL events, whether it's Coach Chippy or, you know what I mean? Or like,
there's guys all over the place.
Whatever. All these guys, just like skills all over the map. Yeah.
I mean, you go to an NHL final, an all-star game, or somewhere NHL event, there's like a section of content creators. Like they're important for, promoting and showcasing the game and the players. And some of these people are so wickedly talented at doing it too. I still struggle. I'm a boomer, boys. I'm a goddamn boomer. Like I have no clue what the hell's going on. Like sending a tweet, I write it, then I erase it, then I write it again. Then I'm like, what the hell? Making videos and doing all that stuff is all kind of crazy. The internet's a wild world, but I think it's changed a lot. I think guys are getting more comfortable, and I think it's starting to hit another level, no question.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. Your heart and soul, man. You just show up and bring the energy and spirit, right? You can have someone else do the rest of it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not your wheelhouse.
Exactly. I'm not a tech guy. That's what I say. I'm not a tech guy.
Neither am I.
I'm from Saskatoon. What am I doing here?
Riley's way better.
How to turn a computer on.
I know. I'm so bad at Riley. Actually, is really good at this shit. We have a couple people that work with us, but our main guy, producer Baller, he's great. He keeps us going, social media and all that stuff. So
yeah, congrats on everything you guys are doing. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man.
Keep it going.
We enjoy it.
Have a little little revenge game on Thursday.
You too.
Yeah,
little
revenge
right.
game. Next time, if I'm ever in Philly and we ever go out for dinner, bottle of wine on the winner Thursday night. Okay,
there you go. Riggs, you'll just have to get into flow state. Me and Army will do the wine.
Yeah, we'll wear bare feet and ground ourselves while we're drinking.
I have other offerings, Nast.
I know you do. I know you do. Oh man,
yeah,
that's great.
Oh, well, I appreciate you, Army, man. You're awesome. Appreciate you hopping on and carving out the time. So
fucking awesome,
thanks for the time. Good talking hockey with you guys. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, appreciate you too, brother. Thank you so much, man.